What's funny about horror movies is that sometimes the thing with the sharp teeth, glowing eyes, and 14 limbs somehow ends up being the least messed up part of the story. So here are some of my favorite horror movies where the monster isn't actually the real villain. Before I Wake. This movie follows Cody, this quiet orphan kid who gets adopted by a couple still grieving the loss of their own son. And at first, Cody seems normal. A little shy maybe, but normal. Until they realize something. Whatever Cody dreams becomes real. At first it's beautiful. Butterflies start appearing, dreamlike landscapes show up, and for a second you're thinking, okay, this actually seems kind of wholesome. Then Cody has a nightmare, and suddenly this horrifying creature called the Canker Man starts appearing. And at first it feels like your standard horror movie monster, until the movie explains what it actually is. The Canker Man is basically Cody's trauma taking shape after watching his mother slowly die from illness when he was younger. The monster isn't evil. It's literally just the physical form of a child processing grief and fear the only way he knows how. 13 Ghosts. Arthur and his family inherit this giant glass mansion from a billionaire uncle. Any horror movie where somebody randomly inherits a mansion is cooked from the start, especially when the house looks like an evil Apple store. But once they get inside, they realize the mansion is actually powered by ghosts. 12 of them. And every single ghost got some insane backstory and horrifying design. At first the spirits seem like the villains, but it's later revealed that the real monster is Cyrus, the uncle, who captured and imprisoned them to power a machine for his own gain. The ghosts aren't evil by choice, they're trapped inside somebody else's plan. Oddity. Now this movie came out pretty recently and somehow managed to make a wooden statue terrifying. The story follows Darcy, this blind woman with psychic abilities, investigating the murder of her own twin sister. And when she visits the house connected to the case, she brings this giant creepy wooden figure with her. And immediately the movie frames it like, yep, that's definitely haunted. The statue is always standing in the background watching people and just always doing some outright creepy stuff. But as the mystery unfolds, you realize the statue isn't the real danger at all. It's basically helping expose the truth behind what actually happened to Darcy's sister. And once the movie starts revealing who's really responsible, the entire vibe shifts. Because once again, the scariest thing in the story ends up being a regular human being. The Black Phone. Now, this movie follows Finney. He's this shy kid who's already going through enough. He gets bullied at school, his home life sucks, and on top of all that, there's a serial killer running around kidnapping kids called the Grabber. And eventually, Finney gets taken too. He wakes up trapped in a basement with only a disconnected black phone in the wall. But then the phone starts ringing. And the people calling? They're the previous victims of the Grabber. The movie makes you think the supernatural stuff is going to make things worse, which is terrifying for about 5 seconds until you realize the ghosts aren't actually haunting Finney. They're trying to save him. One tells him where a hidden lock combination is, another explains a failed escape attempt, and one literally warns him, don't go upstairs, it's a trap. Most horror movie spirits spend their time throwing chairs across the room and standing in corners, but these kids came back from the dead just to run customer support. This completely changes the movie because the ghosts aren't the threat at all. They're the only reason Finney even has a chance of surviving. The Babadook. If you've seen this movie, then you already know this isn't really about the monster. Amelia is this exhausted single mother trying to raise her son while dealing with grief she never processed after losing her husband. And right away you can tell she is stressed. Then one night they read a creepy book called Mr. Babadook, and everything starts spiraling. Strange noises, dark figures, and constant paranoia. But the deeper the movie goes, the clearer it becomes that the Babadook isn't just a random evil creature, it's grief itself. The pain and emotional exhaustion Amelia tried ignoring for years slowly takes shape through the monster, and that's why the ending is so good. Because she never truly beats the Babadook, she just learns how to live with it. Unfriended. And I know this movie got memed to death because the entire thing takes place on a computer screen, but low-key the concept is kind of messed up. So the movie follows this friend group video chatting one night when suddenly this unknown account joins the call. And at first, everybody thinks it's just a prank. Until the account starts exposing everybody's secrets one by one. And eventually it becomes clear. This is connected to Laura Barnes, a girl from their school who took her own life after an embarrassing video of her went viral online. And here's the thing. Every single person in that call had something to do with what happened to her. Some of them spread the video, some of them laughed at it, and some of them just stayed silent. Even Blair, the main character, is hiding way more guilt than she lets on. So yeah, Laura technically becomes this vengeful supernatural force, but can you really say she's the true villain? Because everything happening in that call only exists because these people completely destroyed someone else's life for entertainment. Apostle. Thomas travels to this isolated island after his sister gets kidnapped by a religious cult. If I pull up somewhere and everybody dresses the same and starts whispering about some sacrifice, I'm turning around immediately. But once Thomas gets there, the cult keeps talking about this mysterious goddess they worship who supposedly keeps the island alive. And naturally, the movie wants you to think, okay, that's the monster. But then Thomas discovers the truth. The goddess isn't controlling the cult is controlling her. She's trapped underground, weakened, tortured, and being exploited so the island can continue functioning, which completely changes the movie, because the thing everybody fears is actually just another prisoner. Nightbreed. Boone starts having reoccurring nightmares about this hidden underground place called Midian, and eventually he finds it. A secret refugee filled with terrifying creatures called the Nightbreed, and at first they look horrifying. Everybody got claws, sharp teeth, weird masks, and some of them built like Dark Soul bosses. But once Boone spends time there, he realizes these creatures aren't actually evil at all. They're hiding, because humans hunted them down for years. Meanwhile, the actual villain is this psychiatrist named Decker, who's secretly a serial killer manipulating everybody into believing the Nightbreed are monsters. And eventually, humans launch a full assault on Midian, which honestly becomes sad so fast because the creatures aren't even trying to conquer humanity or anything. They literally just want to exist peacefully. The Lighthouse. And this movie, man, this is one of those films where by the end of it, you're either calling a genius or sitting there confused as hell eating popcorn in silence. So we got two lighthouse keepers, isolated on this tiny island while slowly losing their minds. One is this older veteran dude obsessed with rules of control, and the other is this younger guy who's clearly got issues of his own. And as the isolation gets worse, reality starts breaking down. They start seeing weird visions, hearing strange noises, and seeing things in the ocean. At points, this movie feels supernatural, but it never fully confirms anything. And that's the point. Because the real horror isn't some supernatural monster, it's isolation. And honestly, after about 3 days with no Wi-Fi and only one other human around, I might start seeing sea monsters too. The people under the stairs. And this movie is weird. So Fool, this kid from a struggling neighborhood, breaks into the house of this rich couple called Mommy and Daddy, which already sounds horrifying enough. But once inside, he discovers children literally living hidden inside the walls. They attack people and barely speak. But then we learn the truth. These kids were abused, isolated, and abandoned by Mommy and Daddy for years, which makes the title genius, honestly, because the people under the stairs aren't monsters. They're victims created by monsters. And Mommy and Daddy, them two genuinely insane. Shudder. Now this movie right here got one of the creepiest reveals in horror history. So after a hit and run accident, this photographer named Toon starts noticing ghostly figures appearing in his photos. And naturally, the movie makes it seem like he's being haunted by this angry spirit for no reason. But then the truth slowly comes out. Toon and his friends horribly mistreated this girl named Natre back in college, and instead of helping her, he stayed silent and let it happen. And the ghost haunting him, it's not random revenge, it's guilt. Literal guilt. Because by the end of the movie, Toon discovers the reason his neck has been hurting this entire time is because Natre's spirit has literally been sitting on his shoulders the whole movie. Sleepy Hollow. The Headless Horseman looks like the obvious villain. I mean, the dude rides around decapitating people with an axe. But in the movie, Ichabod Crane gets sent to this creepy little town to investigate these murders, and eventually he realizes something important. The horseman isn't choosing his victims, he's being controlled. Turns out somebody stole his skull, and whoever possesses it can basically command him like a supernatural hitman. And once the horseman gets his skull back, everything changes. He stops being this mindless killing machine and immediately turns against the people controlling him. So technically the real villain was just rich, manipulative humans. Again.